Publicity stunt trip to Chicago has just blown apart Prince Harry's UK security lies. This is quite something. So this image emerged at the weekend after the local TV presenter Natalie Martinez posted on X, "Holy name vibes today, Sailor," that's her daughter in the front, walking to her first communion. And yep, that's exactly who you think it is to her right. So they wanted this out there. They wanted out there the fact that Meghan Markle had attended a First Communion at a church in Chicago. And we know that because within hours, the propagandists for the Sussexes, People magazine, had heralded this solo trip to Chicago for her godson's First Communion. Now, people thought this was a great thing that Meghan had made the rare solo trip and that she arrived early to Holy Name Cathedral without any special accommodations. That is according to a source close to People. So let me take you through this reporting, which is going to horrify Prince Harry. People confirmed that Meghan travelled to Chicago over the weekend for the First Communion of the son of one of her best friends from college, and that Meghan is the boy's godmother. Meghan went solo to the event and has already returned home to Montecito, California, People confirmed. A source also told People that Meghan arrived early to the church and waited with other families and friends in the pews. Oh, she's just like us, folks. And that she didn't use a separate entrance or have any special accommodations. Now, I'm going to explain very shortly why this is a total disaster for Prince Harry and his ongoing claim against Ravik in the United Kingdom. But as Harry Meghan's spare put it, well, there you have it, folks. Apparently it was her godson's First Communion. If that's the case, why did her friend Natalie Martinez act like she didn't know Meghan would be there? Her post insinuated she wasn't aware Meghan was there, even though she's the godmother. Very weird and puzzling, as is everything surrounding this woman. Of course, we don't have confirmation that Natalie Martinez is the woman in question. However, like everything with Meghan Markle, this event was immediately shrouded in bizarre controversy because Natalie Martinez, once the story had been picked up with the mainstream media, removed her post from social. Sabera Alone pointing out, "Why delete, Natalie? Don't worry, I won't post your child, but this picture was found on X that you posted." Starting to make me wonder that this was done specifically just to get PR for Meghan. Please tell me you didn't use your own child for another woman's game. It's quite sad if you did. As a third pointed out, soon as the article was posted, you deleted, starting to think that wasn't a coincidence. And of course it wasn't. Natalie Martinez is a journalist, a TV reporter. She knows how this game works. She specifically pointed out that it was Meghan in the picture with her child. So of course this was all planned. As Long Sally, aka Sue Smith, said, "Well, it looks like Harry and Meghan can move around if they want to without anyone knowing, as this took place in Chicago." And that's what I want to come to. And by the way, I say this not as a slight on Chicago in any way. I haven't visited the city myself, but trust me, here in the United Kingdom, as I am regularly reporting, we do have huge problems. But let's just remember, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are claiming that they need guaranteed constant security protection from the British taxpayer because they are so under threat in the United Kingdom. And it is just impossible, given how famous they are and given their royal role, for them to travel around just like Meghan did. Not only coast to coast in America, but to really one of the most dangerous cities in the world. And I just want to be fair to Chicago, but also point out that Chicago, even compared to the dangerous city in the United Kingdom, Sadiq Khan's hellhole London, which I repeat, I criticize every single day because I live here and I've seen the destruction of the city. Even compared to London, Chicago is incredibly dangerous. It matches the UK's entire homicide toll, despite having just 4% of the population. Last year, Chicago recorded 460 homicides. That was the lowest in 60 years, but still an enormous number for one city. By comparison, England and Wales, with a population of 60 million, recorded 522 homicides. So Chicago's population, only 2.7 million. In raw numbers, one mid-sized American city produced almost as many murders as the whole of England and Wales combined. That means, Meghan, your chances of being murdered in Chicago is roughly 18 times higher than here in the UK. The 2025 homicide rate, and as I say, this was a record rate, approximately 15.4 per 100,000 residents. The UK rate, 0.86 per 100,000. So even after a massive decline in Chicago's violence, the per capita murder risk remains dramatically elevated compared to Britain's nationwide figure. Gun violence in Chicago dwarfs the UK's total firearm homicides by an order of magnitude. The vast majority of Chicago's homicides, about 80%, actually even more than 80%, according to the latest figures that I looked at, are committed with firearms. By contrast, in England and Wales, only 32 firearm homicides in 2024 to 2025. So Chicago sees more people shot to death in a typical year than the entire UK sees killed by guns over several years combined. That is, of course, a political issue, but so is Prince Harry and Meghan Markle trying to claim that it is too dangerous for them to travel here without the UK taxpayer having to foot the bill forevermore. To Brittany, editor of the Royal News Network now, who of course joins us stateside. And Brittany, look, I want to be clear. I hope you don't take offense by me pointing out just how dangerous Chicago is. But my point here is that Meghan Markle got there seemingly without any security, without any publicity, because let's be honest, as I have been saying for months and months and months, no one cares. No one cares where she goes. No one cares where she is. There is no threat. She turned up, went into the pews like a normal human being, no issue. And that, Brittany, is in a very, very dangerous city. So unfortunately, while Meghan thinks that this briefing to People magazine makes her look cute and like one of us and very sort of low maintenance, something we know she isn't, by the way, but of course she's trying to do this to get some decent PR after the Australian disaster. But for me, actually, Brittany, what she doesn't realize is she's just literally thrown a grenade into Harry's claim about why he needs security. How do you view all of this?
I mean, it's really crazy, Dan. I mean, just even take actually their hometown of Los Angeles. I mean, obviously they live in Montecito, which is a fair amount away. But last time I was in LA, I was almost mugged. And so like the cities that they go to, you know, the countries that they go to have big security risks. And it's seemingly perfectly fine for them to go there. But oh, heaven forbid they go to the UK. There's such a risk. And I have to say too, Dan, there was actually a story that broke over the weekend that the two of the king's daughters in the Netherlands, there was a man arrested under potential threats that he was going to kill them or kidnap them. The daughter of the king, the future heir, she has been under threat quite a bit, had to leave the country. And there were actually specific threats against them. We have never even heard of what these alleged specific threats against Harry and Meghan are. And that is, of course, by design. They're concocting this conspiracy. They're concocting this idea, I think, that they are under this enormous risk. But I think if you push came to shove and you ask them, what is a specific example? All they can tell you is the random stalker that Harry has sometimes in London. Like, that's the best they have. And obviously, there may be more, not saying that they don't live with some risk. Every public figure does, no matter who they are. But I think this is an important thing to highlight that Harry and Meghan, I think, live under a mass delusion that they are under constant threat. And honestly, it's draining their bank accounts, and they want to drain everybody else's bank accounts too in order to fund that.
100%. 100%. And I am not prepared to have it happen. I mean, maybe on a normal day, Brittany, we could say, actually, good. She's realized she is just normal, you know, but then it's like, what happened in terms of this local television celebrity posting the picture, then the moment it's picked up by People magazine, Brittany, she deletes it. Well, I'm sorry. I'm not born yesterday. We know the stunts Sunshine Sachs, Meghan's PR company, pulls. It's like, let's get this organically on the internet. Then we can say that People magazine have picked it up via the post. I know how this game works. I used to play this game. We're not stupid.
I mean, Harry and Meghan think the vast majority of the world is stupid. It's quite dumb on their part because the collective knowledge of the internet and everybody watching them is much greater than the two of them combined. But this is so obviously, like you said, Dan, basically a publicity stunt. She wanted press for this. She wants to look good. But the problem is that Meghan will go and attend the first communion of her godson, who we've never heard of before. But yet she won't go and see her father, her father-in-law, her nephews, her niece, her siblings. Like, she won't go see any of them, no matter what the cost is. But she's willing to go and attend this first communion, which I mean, it's a big deal within the Catholic faith, obviously, but I just don't think it was something that was necessary for her to do, given the distance. Everybody would understand why she wouldn't go. And so it raises the question of who was she there to support, really? And it just highlights again how much she is denying and trying to distance herself from people who can hold her accountable, namely her family, and always going to friends who she can lean off of, she can grift off of, and they can grift off her, and it's a grift together, and it's just kind of pathetic and sad, and we all see through it.
100% we do, because as Brittany, you posted on X when you saw this story just a couple of hours ago, but she won't go to see her father, father-in-law, nephews, nieces, siblings. A decision like this shows Meghan Markle's true colours, I think. We haven't heard much about this godson, but she clearly has actual family she could care about and clearly doesn't. I find that sad. And Brittany, we know Thomas Markle, and this is great news, and I'm so happy for the family, has now arrived safely in the US. This was first reported by Caroline Graham, his close friend, in the Mail over the weekend. But I had been speaking to my friend, Samantha Markle, Thomas's other daughter, for quite a few weeks. And I knew that she was absolutely determined to bring her dad home, but she wanted to do so confidentially. She wanted to do so without any type of circus. She was incredibly worried as the trip was made, given his health. And that was very stressful. You know, were the stopovers okay? How was everything on the plane? But yesterday she posted, "Dad is back safely. So happy. Great new chapter in life." So there is someone now, Brittany, actually in America. Like, if Meghan had any security worries about the Philippines, well, your dad's in America now. Brittany, like, what's stopping you? You got on the plane to Chicago to go and, go and see this godson that we've never heard of at his Holy Communion. What's stopping you seeing your dad? Nothing.
Yeah, and it's always been nothing, Dan. That's the truth. It's always been nothing. The security farce is exactly what you would think it is. It's a farce. Meghan doesn't want to see people who she either no longer finds useful or people she thinks are not going to go along with the grift anymore. And the royals saw right through her most of the time. And once she could get out, she doesn't want to face them. She's a coward in many ways. She doesn't want to have people, especially when she's interacting with Harry, people who know the real Harry, the Harry before Meghan, and her seeing them interact. Like, she wants this control and she wants to always be the victim. And so she has, I think, in many ways, concocted this whole, again, crazy scenario where they're under constant threat so that she has this convenient out to actually see the people that she should. Because, again, they're willing to go to Mexico. They're willing to go to Nigeria. They're willing to go to Colombia. They're willing to go to all these dangerous places. But, I mean, London's pretty safe. I mean, there's dangerous parts of London, of course, but I have been to London more times than Meghan has in the last couple of years, and I've been mostly fine. Actually, the most dangerous experience I had was in Los Angeles in their backyard.
And look, what we know, Brittany, is that Meghan is definitely looking for, like, good coverage at the moment, very good coverage, because I just wanted to show you this post. Let me just come to it, actually. This seems to be from her Australian tour, Brittany. And it's from a podcast with Down syndrome creators Sean Scales and Marley Furtado. And they have a channel called Get Down with Sean and Marley. And this was apparently taken at the Best Life retreat. And these two have previously, Brittany, recreated one of Meghan's Netflix recipes on their channel, which we're told she saw and liked. Now, look, that is potentially a sweet thing, given these two have Down syndrome. But again, Brittany, we're told she doesn't watch anything. We're told she's not all over social media. So yet again, maybe by doing something that would usually be viewed as sweet, unfortunately, it also exposes the lies that she continuously tells.
It really does, Dan. We know she's on social media all the time. I have no doubt she's constantly doing these little barbs where you can tell that she's heard a narrative and is reacting to it. In fact, I had a live stream once, and I don't know any of this for sure, but I noticed that there was a grammatical error in the email, and somehow later it got fixed. And so it's like, is she watching my channel and other channels? I've noticed I've mentioned things and things are adjusted in response to things I've said. Now, of course, somebody else could have pointed it out, not saying that. But Meghan, I think, is constantly trolling, constantly watching her critics and what they're saying about her. And she's looking for anything. She's willing to exploit anyone for a bit of good press. And unfortunately, people see through a lot of that because none of it is genuine. She is never genuinely trying to reach out and connect to people. It's also she can look good, she can have her PR moment and what have you. And this is why Meghan doesn't really have a ton of staying power and why her star is waning. When nothing is real, and when in the case of Meghan, you don't really have any particular talent, you get found out about that at some point. And that's really coming to the forefront, I think, for Meghan. And I think her constantly looking at social media, sharing even recently, how much she checks out astrology. I'm sure her For You feed is entirely astrology posts or something like that, because that is what she posted recently as well. She's constantly on social media. She loves it. Unfortunately, she's bad at it, but she's very, very much invested in it. And unfortunately, it hasn't gone super well for her.
No, it hasn't.
The phrase, "she's blown it," immediately creates the impression that Meghan Markle has made a major public relations mistake. It suggests that something intended to improve her image or generate positive attention may instead have created another controversy. But before accepting that interpretation, we need to ask a basic question. What exactly was the alleged PR objective? The material we are working from does not establish a specific, confirmed strategy created by Meghan herself. Instead, the PR stunt and backfire language represents an interpretation of the situation. That distinction is important because a public appearance receiving criticism does not automatically prove that a deliberate PR campaign has failed. Few public figures generate as much discussion about media strategy as Meghan Markle. Almost every appearance, interview, photograph, product announcement, or public statement can become the subject of intense online debate. Supporters may view that attention as evidence that Meghan remains highly influential. Critics may interpret the same attention as evidence that her public relations strategy is generating unnecessary controversy. And that is where this latest story becomes interesting. The question is not simply whether Meghan received attention. She clearly did. The bigger question is whether that attention produced the result she supposedly wanted. The most mysterious part of the story is the reference to Chicago. The headline suggests that information or developments connected to Chicago have somehow undermined an alleged plan involving Prince Harry. That is a dramatic suggestion. But the available material does not independently establish that there was a specific Harry plot, or that Chicago definitively destroyed such a plan. So rather than presenting that as fact, we should treat it as the central claim that requires examination. What happened in Chicago? What information allegedly emerged? And why would it matter to Harry and Meghan? Those are the questions at the heart of this story. There are two very different ways to look at the situation. One interpretation is that Meghan's latest publicity generated more scrutiny than expected. Instead of allowing the conversation to focus on the intended message, attention shifted toward controversy, speculation, and questions about Harry and Meghan's broader strategy. If there are genuine developments connected to Chicago, those details could potentially change the way the wider story is understood. But without confirmation, we should resist filling in the blanks. The absence of information can sometimes make a story appear more dramatic than the evidence supports. That is why the Chicago claims need to be treated carefully. This may be the most important question in the entire story. Before asking whether a plan was destroyed, we first need evidence that the plan existed. The supplied material does not establish a documented Harry and Meghan strategy that was officially announced or confirmed. Instead, the idea of a plot appears to be part of the commentary surrounding the story. That does not mean the claim is necessarily false. It simply means viewers should understand the difference between an allegation and an established fact. Meghan Markle has become a major subject of the modern celebrity media cycle. One event can generate headlines across multiple platforms. Those headlines then produce reactions. Those reactions become new headlines. And eventually, the original event can become almost secondary to the controversy surrounding it. That cycle can create the impression that a celebrity is constantly facing a new crisis. But sometimes the real story is simply the way the media ecosystem amplifies disagreement. This is especially true when the subject already has a highly divided audience. For Meghan's critics, this latest controversy may appear to confirm their belief that her PR strategy repeatedly creates unintended consequences. They may argue that carefully managed publicity cannot overcome negative public perception. For Meghan's supporters, however, the same controversy may look completely different. They may argue that hostile commentators are deliberately framing ordinary events as scandals. And both sides can point to examples that support their interpretation. That is why separating evidence from opinion is so important. Whether this controversy has a meaningful effect on Prince Harry is another open question. Harry has spent years developing a public identity separate from his former role as a working royal. But he remains closely associated with Meghan, and their public narratives frequently overlap. If Meghan's latest publicity attracts substantial criticism, Harry can inevitably become part of that discussion. The reverse is also true. If the Chicago claims are substantiated, viewers may have a clearer understanding of what happened. If no further evidence appears, the story may ultimately remain another example of the intense speculation surrounding Harry and Meghan. Either way, the couple's public image will continue to attract attention. And that means every new appearance is likely to generate another round of analysis. So, has Meghan Markle really blown it? That depends on what you believe her objective was in the first place. The headline presents the situation as a major PR failure, with Chicago developments allegedly undermining an important plan involving Prince Harry. But based on the material available to us, those most dramatic elements remain claims and interpretations rather than established facts. What is undeniable is that Meghan and Harry continue to attract enormous media attention. And whenever their public image, royal connections, or future plans become the subject of speculation, the story can quickly become much bigger than the original event. Perhaps the most interesting question isn't whether Meghan's PR strategy has failed. It is whether any PR strategy can completely control the narrative surrounding a couple who remain under such intense public scrutiny. Now we want to hear from you. Do you think Meghan Markle's latest PR strategy actually backfired, or is the criticism being exaggerated? And what do you make of the Chicago claims surrounding Prince Harry? Share your thoughts respectfully in the comments below. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications for more coverage of Meghan Markle, Prince Harry, the royal family, King Charles III, Prince William, Princess Catherine, and the latest royal news.